What's up, everyone? Welcome to the March 14th edition of FanDuel Tournament Plays presented by PrizePicks. I'm your host, Adam Scherer. You can follow me on Twitter at ShipMyMoneyDFS. And as a reminder, you get one free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum when you sign up and make a deposit at PrizePicks. Be sure to use the code Awesemo to receive a 100% first deposit bonus up to $100. Tonight, we have a 9-game NBA slate. There's 4 games starting at 10 p.m. Eastern or later, which makes this slate a little bit unusual. Probably going to need, almost definitely going to need to be around to late swap. So keep that in mind as you make your lineups. But also be sure to tune into the deeper dive and live before lock in the 2 hours preceding tip on the Awesemo YouTube channel. There's plenty of injury news, plenty of moving parts. We will have more up-to-date player projections, ownership projections, injury news, all of that. So be sure to tune in and check it out. But for now, taking a look at 5 of the top tournament options on FanDuel as things currently stand. Number 5, Domantas Sabonis is projected for 13% ownership with a 15% chance of being in the optimal lineup. Sabonis is only $8,600 with power forward and center eligibility on FanDuel. He is facing the Chicago Bulls in a game with about a 236 total. Sabonis has been hit or miss since joining the Kings because he very frequently has been in foul trouble. We've seen his foul rate increase as a result, I assume at least, of playing all of his minutes at center. Tonight, he'll have his hands full defensively with Nikola Vucevic, but he has been very productive for the Kings as well. Sabonis has averaged 1.26 FanDuel points per minute. He's averaged 32.7 minutes per game. If he's able to avoid foul trouble and if this game is competitive, however, he's likely to give you 36 or 37 minutes and looks like a very high upside option, especially because he has power forward eligibility, which lowers his opportunity cost. Number 4, Isaiah Hartenstein, 13% projected ownership, 15% chance of being in the optimal lineup. Hartenstein's a $4,800 power forward only player, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but it is useful for DFS. He's averaged 1.23 FanDuel points per minute this season, and in the games that he has played without Serge Ibaka and with Ivica Zubac, he's averaged 18.6 minutes per game. If he does only get 18.6 minutes tonight, somewhere between 18 and 19 minutes, he's not likely to pay off the salary, but the Clippers are shorthanded, which doesn't necessarily benefit Hartenstein because he's played 0 minutes alongside Zubac this year. I think against a team like Cleveland, you could see them try them alongside each other since they only have 9 active players, but I also think that's far from a guarantee. But either way, he's basically just playing all of the backup center minutes behind Zubac, especially with Covington out. So that does help. And if Zubac gets in trouble or Hartenstein plays well off the bench, you could conceivably get 23, 24 minutes from Hartenstein in any given game. Number 3, Clint Capella, projected for 10% ownership with a 16% chance of being in the optimal lineup. Capella will be facing the Portland Trailblazers in a very favorable matchup, and he'll be doing so without either one of John Collins or Danilo Gallinari. We haven't seen Onyeka Okongwu play more than like 3 minutes alongside Capella this season, but the absence of Collins and Gallinari still helps to solidify Capella's minutes because you know that you won't have either of those guys closing at center down the stretch since they aren't playing. Atlanta being shorthanded in the front court helps just ensure that you get at least 48 minutes from the actual centers. And in the games that Capella has played without Collins this year, he's averaged 28.5 minutes per game. He's averaged 1.19 FanDuel points per minute, and again, has a very favorable matchup tonight against the Blazers. Number 2, Trae Young, sticking in the same game, projected for 19% ownership with a 20% chance of being in the optimal lineup. Obviously not a big discrepancy there between optimal lineup percentage and ownership percentage, but he is one of the more likely players on the slate to be in the optimal lineup. So any amount of positive leverage is nice to see. This is a great matchup against Portland. Young benefits from Collins being out as well. He's averaged 1.42 FanDuel points per minute and 36.2 minutes per game in the games he's played without John Collins this season. Number 1, Giannis Antetokounmpo, projected for 20% ownership with a 23% chance of being in the optimal lineup. He's $11,600 and has small forward, power forward eligibility in tonight's matchup against the Utah Jazz. This is not a great matchup in terms of Utah is just a good team defensively. It's not likely that Giannis is overly efficient here in this matchup. But with teams like Milwaukee, I do kind of consider difficult defensive matchups more of a wash than for other teams, because with a team like Milwaukee, they're so much better than most teams they play. You frequently run into the issue where Giannis only plays, 30, 31 minutes. I think being in a game with a 1-point spread and the increased likelihood that you get 35, 36 minutes from Giannis kind of makes up for the fact that he might be a little bit less efficient than normal. He's averaged 1.72 FanDuel points per minute this season. He's one of the best point per minute fantasy producers in the league. And also working in his favor is that he has those small forward and power forward eligibilities. So he's not competing for roster spots with centers, which is one of the strongest positions tonight, or with point guards, which is another very strong position tonight. There's not nearly as many strong forward options tonight as there are guard and center options, so it makes Giannis a little bit easier to get to as well. To recap, the top 5 tournament options on tonight's slate: number 5, Domantas Sabonis; number 4, Isaiah Hartenstein; number 3, Clint Capella; number 2, Trae Young; and number 1, Giannis Antetokounmpo.